Thanks once again. It's a pleasure to be back and it's a pleasure to have this conversation with you. So, for today, I got a question from one of my colleagues, and that is going to be the subject of the discussion. And this question was around financial management and also specifically around what investment options are available for you as a young healthcare worker, a young pharmacist who is just doing an internship or past the internship period immediately after internship. And these are pertinent questions and these are pertinent concerns that we're all having in our different domains of work. And then the question, the thing is, are there, as much as we are seeking answers, we are seeking options, we're seeking solutions, we all don't have access to the same information and we don't have access to the right resources where we need them. And that is a critical bit that we need to acknowledge as much. So at this particular moment, for me, this particular session that I'm going to talk about is based on my own personal experiences and observations. And a disclaimer is that I'm not a financial consultant and a financial advisor, but rather I'm sharing perspectives of some of the principles that I've noted that are workable, that are pragmatic and actually realistic in terms of how you could manage your finances. So when you look at it in terms of financial management as a young pharmacist or as a young healthcare worker, medical doctor, nurse, clinical officer, and all that, depending on which kind of specialization you are, after your undergraduate training education, you are entitled to go for a 1 year paid internship as per the government of Kenya laws and regulations. And that is one key thing that could serve as a buffer for you and also as an investment solution that you're starting off from, you're given a head start in your journey in your career profession. So that is a good thing that we would acknowledge. However much we would have wished that we get the internship and we get employment, and unfortunately that is not the reality that we are contending with. And that is the reality of what we deal with at the end of the day after the internship. The possibilities and the options after that internship in terms of employment, the package that you're going to get and all that is not a guarantee. So where do you start? In terms of starting, first things first, when you're done with your undergraduate training and undergraduate education, you are guaranteed that you're going to start your internship. Unfortunately, we are not so sure of the timing upon which you're going to start that internship training. And therefore, it means your planning has to start upfront before you even get the internship letter, posting letter. So what do you do about it? When you're finishing your schooling, probably you've done your stage 1 exam if you're a pharmacist. Now you have kind of a couple of weeks or months before you get posted based on the Ministry of Health posting orders and all that. Then you need to start planning upfront. Failure to plan is planning to fail. And the reason as to why I'm talking about this is even after the posting, we've had conversation and we're trying to push as much as possible in different circles to ensure that those young doctors and interns who have been posted, who have been working for the last couple of months get paid. And that would be an ideal. We want them to be paid because they're working for that and they had already planned in certain dimensions. But because we understand the dynamics on these failures in the system, which we are pushing to rectify, it doesn't mean that you fail to plan because somebody has failed on their end. You also plan with those possibilities and uncertainties, and those are risks that you have to manage in terms of proper financial management. That is the level of prudence that is required of you. So what do you need to do? One, acknowledge that you will get posted. You're not so sure of the timing, and therefore after the schooling and before you get posted, you need to cater for your bills and you need to see what am I going to do within that period. There's a possibility you can get placements, you can get these internship and locum opportunities. If you're able to secure those, well and good, and that would be amazing for you because and other than just going back home to sit there, you are continuing to engage with professionals in the dynamic space that you are in. And therefore you are networking, you are learning and in the practice as well, and you're gaining the experiential skills that you'd need to push into your next career trajectory as you move along that key. So that is a very important thing. Find a way that you can get engaged, that you're getting some income, but at the same time preparing yourself for the unforeseen eventuality that you get posted for your internship. That is one. When you get posted for your internship, review the posting order and see which locations are you expected to go to. For example, for pharmacists, you'll be required to go to 3-4 different rotations in different regions or different geographical spaces. And therefore means from the starting point, you need to plan and ask yourself, if I have a posting in Kisumu, another one in Mombasa, and another one in Nairobi, how is the order? And in that case, then, what kind of housing do I need in Kisumu for the period that I'll be in Kisumu? What kind of housing do I need in Mombasa when I'll be in Mombasa? And what kind of housing do I want when I'm in Nairobi? And additionally, after my internship, where would I want to be based? Where would I want to start practicing as a professional? By understanding that and planning with that in the back of your mind, you already know if I'm going to stay in Kisumu just for a week, for 2 months or 4 months, or even 6 months as it is for the level 4, level 5 training, then it means I'll be spending longer, but I plan to come back to Nairobi. So I just need a bed seat at that point. What would be the cost disposable income that I'm willing to invest in having a comfortable abode, but at the same time ensuring that the logistics in terms of moving from Kisumu to Nairobi when I'm done with my internship, when I'm transitioning to another one, doesn't become more cumbersome or more costly, yet it's something that I can manage with lesser investment at that particular moment. So that is an important bit that you have to consider. Where am I going to do my internship experience? How much would I need to have a decent and a modest standard living that I would want to have in that space? Once you've managed those dynamics, it means even before you start getting into the job, we know the challenges of getting payment. The payments are delaying and all that. Initially, we were guaranteed you to take within the first 2 months you got your pay, or the 3 months maximum. But now it's going into 4 or 5 months and all that. And parts of it, you'd say government is talking about lack of funds and all that. But it isn't fair. It means at the point of posting, there should be clarity on where are we going to get the money to make the payments. But unfortunately, with those dynamics and those challenges, then you have to plan and see, how am I going to raise this money? At the starting point is to see, do I have a buffer that I've saved from, let's say, for example, from the locums and the progress program that you're doing before you started your internship? If you have that buffer, well and good. Some don't. If you don't, then ask yourself, who can I seek help from? And that is the planning where, can you call on your relatives? Can you call on your friends and all that? People who can help you within that initial phase. And even when you're going to a particular location and you feel like you have a couple of friends, you can co-share that cost and cohabit for a period of time so that you manage those costs. Because if you don't, you start off and you don't have the initial financing that you need to manage your lifestyle and to keep up with the dynamics of demands on you, then that will be a challenge already. And we're hoping that doesn't become a problem to you. So look at those modalities and manage them in a timely manner and plan accordingly so that you're able to start your internship and execute on it. So when you're doing your internship, now if you've gotten the internship, you've managed the initial aspects, how do you move from there and how do you manage your finances moving forward when you're already starting earning your salaries and the money is being disbursed by the Ministry of Health? There's no clear standard on that, but the key thing is, don't spend every single thing. In terms of financial management, beyond planning is having to know what are my revenues and what are my expenses. And once you can balance your incomes and your expenses, you're able to know what is the surplus that I can actually look at in terms of savings, in terms of investment options and all those possibilities. And that is critical for you to know. As an intern, probably you have all the time, you're committing to your job in the hospital, in the facility where you're offering internship services, then it is important of you to acknowledge that your main source of income is the internship salary. Your costs are basically managing your life in terms of rent, meals, clothing and all that, and commute costs, but also you might be supporting your family. How much are you putting aside for those kind of expenses? The additional amount of money that you can spare from that, how are you intending to manage it? It is important that you actually clear at the end of every month, you know, these 10,000 will be for my rent. I'm going to use 5,000 for transport. I'm going to use 5,000 maybe for entertainment, hanging out with friends and all that. This is how much I spend for my shopping, and therefore it is clear from your financial books, and you know at the end of the month, even if, for example, the subsequent salary gets delayed, you know how much you will need, and therefore if you are going to draw from your savings, you're able to draw to manage it and know that at the end of the day, this is the amount that I'm taking from my saving to manage the immediate need that I need to pay rent at a particular date because of those delays. So you need to have that figured out, and that is important. Then once you're doing your internship, I know most of us look at, where can I invest my money? How do I invest my money? And there are so many options, and there are so many people who are looking out to get you as a probable client. One key thing that you have to acknowledge, that insurance agent that is reaching out to you and selling you an insurance solution, there's part of it, maybe, it is a maybe, they're looking out for your wellness. But most likely they are looking at you and seeing a business. You are a customer. Why do I say that they're seeing you as a customer? By you taking up an insurance option or an investment option with them, they are guaranteed their commissions. Whether it's good for you or not good for you, that is none of their business. And that is the unfortunate experience that we're dealing with financial advisors and most of especially the agents for different institutions. And you have to be cognizant of that. If you meet an agent who is going to tell you that they have the best solution for you, you have to do your own due diligence as an individual and as a young professional. Because if everything that they're presenting to you, it will be very lucrative and with much prospects. The question is it really what you needed? If it isn't what you needed, then please take a break, have your money saved in your saving account as you want it, or even in your current account with zero interest, but you have the money. Otherwise, you will invest in a solution that doesn't guarantee that you're getting the returns that had been promised. And there's also the outlook in terms of what are you planning in your life, what is the career trajectory, what are your personal life goals, and all those dynamics. So be very cautious, but do your due diligence. That is the first thing that I would recommend for you. The other thing, when you're doing your internship and you're done your internship, we've indicated that the posting is not guaranteed after your internship. And therefore, you'll finish your internship and you're looking for job employment opportunities, or whether you're starting your own business and all that, meaning you're not guaranteed of what income am I going to get after this. Without such guarantees, the main buffer that you have is your savings and the initial amount of money that you generated and saved during your internship. And therefore, when you're looking at investment options, most critical and most strategic decision is capital preservation. You had earned this money by working and delivering your services diligently for the 12 months or so of your internship. And you've earned that money. You need to preserve it to ensure that after your internship, you are able to still have the money available. Whether you have a job and you don't have to spend it, it is available, it is preserved. Because at times you go invest and in very kind of volatile markets, and one of the risks is you lose your initial investment as well. If you've lost that investment, let's say for example you're buying shares of a company and the share value declines over a rapid period of time. I saw recently around the shares of Safaricom having nosedived from 50 or thereabout in terms of the value per share to currently trading at around 14.5 shillings or so. If you bought those shares with your money, there's already that kind of volatility. So the started thing is, when you don't have substantial income and you cannot risk your money in shares and all that, please put your money in a savings or in an investment solution that guarantees capital preservation. One option of that is SACCOs. Another option that we have around that is the money market funds that you can explore and you can leverage on. There are different advices and different solutions that are available. If you have an interest in seeking out some, I have a couple of agents who are also some of my friends who would be able to give you further intel and insights around how to venture into the money markets, what portfolios you can buy, what are the kind of performance of the different money market funds in the market. Then once you're able to use that, that would be of value to you in terms of managing your money. The most important thing is capital preservation. You don't want to lose the initial money that you've worked for, hoping for something that you're not guaranteed of, and also the uncertainties in the future of your career and probable income revenue stream that you are hoping for. It is very important. If you decide to go the investment option as an entrepreneurial line, you're opening up your space, and this is specifically to those young pharmacists or young doctors who are opening up their clinics, opening up their pharmacies and all that. It is good, and I would encourage most of us to look at these possible entrepreneurial ventures, but with a pinch of salt, caution. The caution is, you're going to invest in a business. That business definitely needs your full-time commitment, dedication to it. It will not grow unless you're there. If you're planning to start a shop and be away from it, chances are the structures will not exist. You're not even able to say, by the way, in a monthly basis, I'm able to generate this much revenue and I'm able to plan on this account. And if you are not able to do the costing of the initial revenues that are expected, the operations and the management of that business, if you're giving out to somebody else, this person might know the business more than you do. Lucky you if there are people who are honest and diligent enough and actually there to serve and make a contribution with you and grow with you in that line. Otherwise, they'll fleece you as much as possible. You'll have lost your money, you'll have lost the business, and you'll be frustrated with the investment decision that you made. Be pragmatic and be conscious. And also the advisors that are advising you open a pharmacy and all that, the question you need to ask yourself is, have they opened a pharmacy? What were the dynamics around the time when they opened the pharmacy or the clinic at their own level? What were the challenges? If they're running them still, what are the challenges and what are the benefits? If they're not running them anymore, what were the challenges they faced and why did they sell or why did they leave the business space? Because if you don't ask these questions, you will be sold hot air, you'll believe all the lies, but after believing all the advice and all the good things that you're being told, you invest and you're not able to sustain the value, and actually you will lose your money, which is not the best way that you would want to. You'll get to lose your money before you position yourself and you grow in your career. It is important. So you have to understand what is the level of investment that would also be able to generate you the income that you're hoping for in terms of managing your lifestyle. You are already planned in terms of, I have paid this amount of money for rent, this is the amount of commute, this is my entertainment budget, this is my initial monthly shopping at the house and everything. So, what is the level of investment that is required, and what are the revenue levels? Revenues are not going to cater for your cost. Revenues levels, but also the margins from those revenues. If you are making a million and you can say 30% of that is going to be returns, that is the profits that you're generating, that's 300,000, then that means you're at a good level. You can manage maybe your cost depending on your costs of living. But if you're not able to do that, then you need to reweigh your options and see level of investment from a financial standpoint that would generate the expected returns. Then after the expected returns, how much of those returns are going to be margins or the profits that can actually help you now sustain your own life beyond sustaining the life of the business, the break-even point. You need to do those computations and calculations necessarily. And the other bit is, what are revenue models that you're going to deal with? And when you look at the revenue models, is, am I selling products? Am I offering services? How much am I charging for these services? How many people am I expecting to serve the clientele base? And if you're able to do those computations and understand it, it is important for you to make those decisions in a strategic manner and to be able to know, where do I want to go, how do I want to go about with this business and this particular investment solution that I would want to do. If you decide to go to the business line where you're opening a pharmacy, a clinic, or whichever it is, ensure that you are there for a period of time. Or if you are not going to be there for a period of time, dedicating your time, get somebody you can trust. I don't know where you're going to get that person or how you're going to get them, but do your due diligence and get somebody who can help you sustain the business in the long term. Another thing is, when you're told about revenues, somebody will tell you, oh, in a pharmacy you can make 500,000 every month and everything. Maybe it's 500,000 in revenues. And revenues means some of this is going to be buying your stock, some of it has to pay your rent. So how much of that 500,000 is profit? Because you can't pay your house rent with the business stock value. Because over time, what will happen is, you'll have killed your business by using the money in terms of revenues, and you will have no stock to use. How do you go about that? And also, if you decide to go the business line and you're going to open your clinic, pharmacy or so, look at what alternative financing solutions. Are there people who are willing to invest in the value chain, who are willing to stock your shop to help you manage the cost so that you reduce the risk of you losing substantial amounts of money? In other words, you're transferring the risk to somebody else who is partnering and helping you deliver on that solution. But at the same time, also in some of those financial solutions that you're signing up for, you'll have to pay them, and therefore you owe somebody some money. The question is, what level of stress and what level of risk are you going to entertain and deal with, in the sense that when they start pushing you to need the money back, will you be able to pay? Will you be able to contend with those pressures? And the other last thing that I would want to mention at this point, as you're venturing into the business space, are you looking for alternative employment options? Because if you're looking for alternative employment options, then it means you will not have even the dedication and focus that you need to kick off the business and have it sustainable. And in that case, then you're already at a risk, in the sense that you will be looking for a job and you're running the business. The dynamics do never balance as much. With limited focus or low levels of focus, the risk of failing in that business and losing your money are also substantial. So you have to make a conscious decision. If you feel you're going to get into the business, look for a job and get employment, better have your money, invest in a money market fund, invest in another alternative solution. You'll get 8% averagely on an annual basis in terms of your returns. If you had some, let's say for example, a million, that in a year is 80,000. 80,000 can help you, let's say if you're living in a one bedroom, 10,000 to 15,000, that is 6 months or thereabout of rent. You've already saved your money, but you're also getting some income. So do the math and balance and see, where do you want to go and how do you want to manage your money. My wish and my hope is that when you're starting your internship, you're starting from a point of consciousness and knowledge that, actually, I know how much I'm going to make, I know what I need to spend, and I'm not going to suffer from the unplanned for, unexpected, severe impacts of the economic dynamics, headwinds, that I didn't know. Yes, some of them will come, but at least you would have buffered yourself and anchored yourself, knowing that these are the possibilities, and the bare minimum is, I can get food, I can get my rent, and I'm able to go to work on a daily basis as I manage those other dynamics. And after that, when you get done with the internship, you're able to have the money to give you a push as you move forward. And after internship, if you're looking at getting employment and all that, please take the job that you get and negotiate for the best salary that you can get, but don't let go of that opportunity that positions you in a strategic level where you'd want to grow in the line of practice that you'd want, just because of salary concerns. Because the risk is, you will still be drawing on that initial saving that you had, but you are having no income coming in. the more you draw from your reserves, the lesser it becomes, and ultimately you will get to a point that actually you are now begging for a job because of desperation rather than desire and need and the value that you can offer. And those are some of the key things that I wish and I hope most of us as young people we get to learn and we apply in terms of financial management and also investment possibilities and options as we move along in our lives. If you enjoy the conversation, subscribe to the channel, share it with some of your colleagues who might find value in these, and let us learn together, let's support one another, and be better professionals and better people in the society at large. Thank you, and let's engage again next Sunday.